The big burly basketballer, 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 the big burly basketballer. So it all started when Steve Kaufmann mentioned in a recent video of his that he sometimes gets better at languages that he hasn't touched for weeks or even months. I made a comment about this, I didn't think very hard about it, and I know that because I don't really even remember making the comment. Well, every time that I think I've found a new low in terms of YouTube commenters, someone finds a new way to demonstrate that they just have no life at all. So my comment was as follows. One term that writers use to talk about the thing you mentioned with your Farsi getting better is post-practice improvement. There have been studies on runners, basketballers, and musicians that suggest that after a certain amount of practice, the rest period will actually be more helpful than anything. I don't know that anyone has reached any conclusions on how often it should be or what the ratio should be, but yes, I have experienced this in piano and languages. And the first reply to my comment was, while I was watching this video, I was also thinking about how my piano playing is better after a break. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you the breaking news that two people on the internet agree with each other. But the celebration is short-lived because the person making the second reply takes issue with my use of the word basketballers, and they made a reply saying, "Hey Days, not sure if it's different where you're from or something, but in the UK and the USA to my knowledge, we actually say basketball players rather than basketballers. Obviously it's not a big deal, just didn't want anyone to be confused." I'm just joking, they said nothing of the sort. They actually said, "There's no such word as basketballers, idiot." Now, full disclosure, if that reply that I invented had actually been what they said, I probably would have thought, seems like a nice person. But I think I'm going to keep saying basketballers. But since that's not what they said, now I'm going to go out of my way to say basketballers. I mean, I don't really study French anymore, so the channel was due for a name change. What do you guys think of Days of French and Basketballers? Basketballers of French and Swedish. Days of French basketballers and Swedish meatballers. Swedish basketballers can't jump, but that's okay because they're generally quite tall. That last one's probably a bit long if I'm honest. But I didn't actually respond because I didn't know that any of this was happening. I don't have notifications turned on. So that was the comment. There's no such word as basketballers, idiot. And by the way, you forgot the comma after basketballers, so you're right, there is no such word as basketballers, idiot. Although, not gonna lie, I think it's kinda catchy.
The Oxford English Dictionary defines the word basketball as idiot as someone who doesn't understand the extremely obvious implied definition of the word basketballers. Thank you.
So anyway, while I was blissfully unaware of any of this, someone replied, "It's a word now, perfectly comprehensible."
Oh, you and your humanist arguments.
Descriptivist grammar, descriptivist.
It's all codswaddle. Back in my day, we said athletic performers of the basketballic arts.
Yeah, but everything took longer in your day. You also sent telegrams.
Oh no, in telegrams we just said basketballers.
So the argument continued with the guy saying, "I'm sorry, but you don't get to invent nouns when a noun for that thing already exists." Okay, good, as long as I'm okay to do it with adjectives, because you're being a Metropolitan dumbass. To which the response, and remember I'm still unaware that any of this is going on, was, "Yeah you do, that's how words come to be. They get invented first, then they become commonplace enough to be acknowledged. Just like basketballer came to be listed on Merriam-Webster. First known usage, 1898. Damn it, I was about to patent that bad boy. I thought I was onto something. You want to use the word basketballer? You pay me $40,000 a pop. You're in the NBA, you can afford it. Oh, what? Little kids playing basketball? Well, they've got two choices. Either get used to saying basketball player or get really good at basketball. But back to our story. The guy replies, "It's a dated expression that I've never heard in my lifetime. Most language learners want to sound like native speakers. Stop apologizing for this person's mistakes." How can it be dated if you've never heard of it? Are you suggesting that it's dated in the future? I have seen the future. Alright, what's it like then? Mankind colonizes Mars, although it's mainly used as a training ground for basketballers. What's these basketballers you speak of then? No, I mustn't say. Earth is not yet ready. Most language learners want to sound like native speakers, he said. On a Steve Kaufmann video. That's Steve, I don't care if I sound like a native speaker Kaufmann. That's where he's written this comment. But I need more irony. What if he says this to a native speaker of English? Yes, but more ironic, I need it. This native speaker is also an English teacher. More. The native speaker who is being corrected for his use of the word basketballers actually made a glaring error in his initial comment that a B1 English student should be able to see, but the pedant missed it completely.
Yes.
For those playing at home, there's the error. Studies, plural. Studies would suggest, not studies suggest. Don't they teach that in your fancy British schools? Well, that's okay, because thanks to the internet, you can book a lesson with a native speaker, one who was raised in a civilized part of the world. New Holland. Now guys, it's only now that I even turned up. At this stage, I had not made a single reply. So I'm reading through all this like, really? You're getting me to defend descriptivism? I mean, that's like getting Matt versus Japan to defend speaking early. I'm sure I can do it, but I wouldn't be the first choice. But you know what? I don't need to defend descriptivism. If this is what prescriptivism looks like, no one's enlisting. Might I remind you that he thought I was a non-native speaker, yet his lead into correcting me on my English was to call me an idiot. I don't care if you're the genius love child of Jane Austen and a time-traveling William Shakespeare. You don't get to tell anyone how English works if you're an astonishingly rude pledgecamon. So all I did in my first reply was point out that people are out there saying fleek and irregardless, and he thinks that basketball player is some kind of heritage listed English? No. Unsurprisingly, he had a different view of the matter. I'm literally English! If by that you mean that you're from England, I don't see how that could not be literal, so the word literally was unnecessary there. I didn't think that you were figuratively British. Be humble enough to take this as a learning moment and move on. Well, humble I can be sometimes, such as when I admit that you basically wrote this video for me, so a humble thank you. But as for the moving on part, no, I'm not going to do that until I've collected my money from this video and made sure that at least one person out there is saved from the tyranny of extra syllables and can instead say basketballer and get on with their life. But this guy doesn't get on with his life. He keeps replying, "We native speakers use the term basketball player. It's that simple." Firstly, let's discuss the ambiguous use of the word we. A free English lesson for you plural. Use your ye. We can mean at least two different things. It can be like we, that is you and I, have made a good video together. Or it can be like, but we, that is just me and my family, will collect the ad revenue from it. You will not receive any. And in the second case, you are not included in the we. And that is how you, sir, thought that you were using we. You and others, but not me. But you, singular this time, just you, were mistaken, because we native speakers, does include me, whether you like it or not. So it's not we native speakers say basketball players and you're not included. It's actually we native speakers have been known to say basketballers. And so I, just me, myself, suggest that we, that is all of us, start saving ourselves precious seconds of time and kilojoules of energy over a lifetime by uniting in saying the simpler and more sonically pleasing word basketballers. Write it in the comments of this video, go and write it in the comments of other videos, make TikToks and Instagram stories about it, spread the word. The word is basketball. Make sure you subscribe, check out my extra content on Patreon, and I'll see you in the next video.